Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul, joined by Jack Weinberger, Robert Ziggy Ziegler, who is back home in California right now, and producer Zach Bloomquist, the best executive producer in the game, is back with us for another episode of the show here.
Is that a new shirt, Zach?
That's crazy.
What?
New shirt?
I've been at like mostly every show now.
Well, anytime you're here, we clap.
I missed like 8 shows.
I just thought it was a nice warm welcome was okay.
Is that a new shirt?
No. There has been a fire to you, Zach, recently that I think is appreciated by most listeners, but certainly exists. Like there's definitely been a little bit of an edge to Zach.
Oh, 100%.
And I'm not sure where it's coming from, honestly.
He's aura farming.
After our friend group told him he had no aura, now he's trying to
now he's aura farming.
It sounded like you said aura forming again.
Oh, it's like when he said ratatouille.
Yeah, ratatouille.
It is ratatouille.
Yeah, if anyone who's listening wants to go back.
It's aura forming.
Oh, geez. If anyone wants to go back and listen, we used to do, we did a draft and we were drafting Disney and Pixar movies, and Jack was, I don't know why you were talking about Ratatouille. And he's like, what, you want me to take Ratatouille? And we're like, what are you talking about, man? There's a reel of that's out there
I think
somewhere.
I might have just emphasized it because I was pissed.
I just think you might just have trouble like speaking and writing. Like your S looks like a 5. Like I think it might just be some basic.
And I'm a teacher.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but you're a good speaker.
I'm a great speaker.
You're a great speaker.
Yes,
that's why you're here. Yeah.
Thank you.
But anyway, yeah, producer Zach is aura farming.
You don't agree with that, Ziggy?
You all right, Ziggy?
I wouldn't know.
Ziggy, how's California?
I'll tell you what's great about California. What's great about California is right now we've got 7 people in the Fantasy Tour de France League, and it's growing every single day.
Oh, look at that.
If you go to the community page, you have a chance to win a free t-shirt, Fantasy Sports. There's a link to it there. Anybody can join, free to enter, but you're not winning a free t-shirt because I'm going to win.
It is pretty funny how this show, even though we talk to each other every day, basically, we record multiple times a week. There are certain sections of this show where it's just like Ziggy's completely doing this on his own. Like I have no finger whatsoever, no hand in the game on this Tour de France. Jack doesn't even know it exists probably till right now. Then there's the other side of things where, I'll do my own task. Jack will go off on his own adventure. Producers, like everyone kind of has their own little like alleys that no one else even touches. And this is Ziggy's pet project here. I might join that though. I might join the Fantasy Tour de France.
It's fantasy sports. Everyone loves fantasy sports. I think the only real competitor is going to be Midwest Mountain.
I have to root against you, Ziggy, because after winning the March Madness bracket, it would be bad to have us just continue to win our own competition.
I mean, isn't that good for us though? Doesn't it show us on the show with the real experts?
Yeah, fair enough.
Like with the fans always beating us in fantasy sports, be like, what do we listen to you guys for?
M cubed joins Ziggy.
Who's M cubed?
What?
Midwest Mountain Man.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay.
That's my nickname for him.
You know you're a fan of the show when Jack comes up with a nickname for you.
Oh,
no one else can decipher.
He's M cubed. Let me know if you like it. M cubed.
So today we're going to be going over some minicamp storylines as the NFL teams have begun practice here in June. First off, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying this. We are about 750 away, roughly, from 20,000 subscribers. And
Just about.
Yeah, that'd be an awesome number. And it's funny. I've been trying to think of certain objectives that we can strive for, guys. And I recently saw that Derrick Henry was promised by Adam Sandler if he ran for 2,000 yards next season, that Adam Sandler would put him in one of his movies, and that was orchestrated by Dan Patrick. Now, unfortunately, none of us, to my knowledge, have a connection to Dan Patrick, who I guess has all these ins where he could just say, yeah, you'll be in the Sandler movie. But I was thinking for us, what's a good number? Like, what's a good goal we could have where if we hit a certain number, we could say, you know what, maybe someone can bring us on their show, or maybe like, our friend Aiden said, why don't you reach out to Kurt Benkert and see if he'd give you a 1 hour throwing lesson, the former quarterback. Like, what's a good thing for us? 100,000 views, 100,000 subscribers by the end of the season.
100K.
I mean, I'm saying like if you're going to ask for something big, you got to have a big goal. 50.
I think 2K yards on the ground. That's a lot of yards.
What's the equivalent of 2,000 yards for us in subscribers? 50 by the end of the
100K at the end of the season.
Maybe
really?
50.
No,
maybe 50.
I was going to say like
50 might be right, because Derrick Henry could very reasonably run for 2,000 yards next year.
And we could very reasonably hit 100K next year.
Maybe like 70K.
I think it's more likely Derrick Henry runs for 2,000 yards than we hit 100,000 subscribers.
Unfortunately, I agree.
Where is it that it's about
like
even?
Who knows?
Unfortunately, I agree, but maybe our we can.
I think it
fans
might
can
be
talk
like
to people.
40 versus 2,000. Like if we hit 40, it's similar odds to Derrick Henry running for
I might go
2,000.
50.
All right, so let's say 50.
I might go 50.
Obviously, what's a good who's someone that we could cut a reel for and hope they respond? What's a good one? Obviously, everyone knows we're
At The Bachelor, ABC.
Yeah, at The Bachelor.
that could be
so
pretty
Ziggy's
good.
The Bachelor. If we get 100,000 subscribers, Ziggy's The Bachelor.
If we get 100K by the end of the season,
They put Ziggy on The Bachelor.
they put Ziggy on The Bachelor.
I'm telling you,
Do it too.
Ziggy, really?
If we
Ziggy on
got
the
100K and they'd take me, I'd do a season.
Or what about Ziggy? What about you? You're one of the men on The Bachelorette.
I mean, that wouldn't be a fair competition.
Yeah, that wouldn't.
Oh,
even
I
be a
know.
show.
It'd be fun to watch you run through everybody.
Yeah, that would be that would be Ziggy gets out of the car. It should be like him. like I choose it, and if you have other guys getting out, it's like no, game's over. Show's over.
I'd just be on the zip line the whole time.
How about
Ziggy? I think that your episode of The Bachelor, or your season of The Bachelor, would be the most watched in Bachelor history.
hold on? What about if we get 100K? Ziggy goes on The Bachelor, and Paul, you get a spot on Too Hot to Handle.
Oh God, how horrible would I be on Too Hot to Handle?
I mean, all these shows are just deeply
All
gross, right?
these ripped dudes come walking in, and then you see Paul coming in. Paul Farrington, Allendale, New Jersey.
He would
I mean, there
farmer's
there was some weird loophole in a Mr. Universe a number of years ago where a normal guy actually found a way to enter, and he won an award.
Oh, did he?
For, like, most unique physique.
That would. Oh, I would have that.
He was just a regular guy.
Oh, I would have that as a pectus excavatum survivor. I would absolutely win most unique.
I'm a Kawasaki survivor.
Yeah, what?
It's true.
What is that?
It's a horrible disease. Like, I don't know. It's 3 years old.
Kawasaki.
Yes.
I
I won't go in detail, but I'm a survivor of a very serious illness.
I'm glad you're here. I don't even know what that is.
Yes.
I don't even want to speculate. I
If
feel
not-
like it would come off incorrectly.
If not caught at the right time, dead.
Seriously.
Yes.
Jeez.
So you guys are lucky that Jack Weinberger is currently in the building.
Yeah,
Some audience members might disagree.
No,
The worst
most
thing that happened to me when I was a kid was my skin turned purple.
what's going on in this? Like, what happened to you?
was that,
Why'd
like-
your skin purple?
frostbite.
I got HSP.
For how?
I don't know.
I don't even know what HSP.
Yeah, what's
If I get it
HSP?
again, all my organs will shut down and I die.
Okay, all
It's
right. You know what?
sometimes-
Let's just talk football.
Let's
Let's
start to the show.
You know,
Let's
you're
just
right.
talk.
This is what people want to hear about. Speaking of
yeah, let's just talk.
autoimmune
Okay.
diseases, the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
Mark
Yeah.
Andrews.
Well, yeah. Once Olivia Rodrigo breaks up with her boyfriend, that's what I want.
Jesus
the goal to
Christ,
be.
let's get on schedule here.
Aaron Rodgers,
Jack, good
autoimmune
producing.
diseases. We can talk about
Good
this
job. Good
series.
job. Okay, so once upon a time on this show, we had essentially 0 listeners. And after that opening, it might go back down to 0. But then, most people listening now are big Green Bay Packers fans, and we've hit the NFC North market pretty well lately. But a lot of people forget that there is another secret team to the Paul Farrington Show cast, and that would be the Houston Texans. And in many ways, I actually feel bad that we haven't talked about Houston as much because their fan base was a great part of our show's success when we were initially coming up in the beginning. And CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson too in the Colts. The AFC South really helped us out as we were growing. But I've always felt a little bit of a connection with us and the Texans, given the rise in our popularity with them as CJ Stroud was playing really well in 2023. So I actually want to focus on them to open the show today. And a big story, one that thankfully has been kind of squashed, was CJ had throwing a shoulder issue in his right shoulder. And apparently it was because he was working out and he aggravated one of his muscles. And people were concerned whether or not he was actually hiding a deeper injury. Now, luckily, it appears there was no surgery necessary, and he was throwing at minicamp. So everyone's like, okay, everything's good. Now we can analyze the Texans a little deeper here. And I think CJ Stroud is one of those guys we've continuously talked about who's under pressure next year and who has something to prove. And we've mentioned Jordan Love a gazillion times. We've mentioned the rookies and the second-year players. Aaron Rodgers we talked about in the last episode. But CJ Stroud has to be in that conversation. Felt like last year he lost a bit of that shine where Jaden Daniels sort of took over his spot, right? CJ Stroud was the rookie that came in, had the greatest rookie season of all time. It was weird to see within 1 year, Jaden Daniels basically took that all away from him. And we were talking about Stroud as this potential top 5 quarterback in the league joining the Big Four. Is the Big Four been coined yet? I feel like that's kind of, we all know the top 4 quarterbacks in the league.
The Big Four?
Right, yeah. Burrow, Lamar, Mahomes, and Allen.
I mean, Hurts is right up there.
Yeah, stop it.
I'm serious.
Hurts is the number 5 for sure.
Yeah, there's no Big Four.
No, Hurts is not the 5.
There's a Big 4.
There's a Big 4. Hurts would not. Well, anyways, here's the thing. That 5 spot is open. And a lot of people thought after 2023 that CJ Stroud would take that spot.
I take Goff over Burrow.
Right now, I think Jaden Daniels is the one that most people would pick in that number 5 spot. That's what I believe.
None of it hurts.
But if you go back and look at Stroud, just the numbers from 2023 to 2024, down in completion percentage, down in passing yards. He was 8th in the league in 2023, down to 15th. Touchdowns from 23 to 20, 15th in the league this year. Interceptions went up from 5 to 12, sacked 38 times, up to 52 times. Now that's a whole other story with the offensive line issues. And his quarterback rating was down from 100.8 to 87. So, we see basically in every category, CJ Stroud was a worse quarterback last year. And Texans fans, you might be quick to point out, yes, the offensive line was horrible. They've tried, sort of have made some upgrades this offseason. You lose Laramie Tunsil, you're bringing in guys where, we'll see how Cam Robinson does. We'll see how Laken Tomlinson does. I mean, these guys did not have particularly good seasons last year. But I'm looking at CJ Stroud as this is a bounce back candidate. And the Houston defense is they're ready to go. That's going to be one of the best defenses in football next year. Passing defense, maybe the best in the league. Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson Jr., probably the best pass rushing duo in all of football. Those guys are going to give the Titans a certain floor that they will not fall behind, especially in the AFC South.
The Texans.
Sorry, did I say Titans? The Texans. So to me, this is a point now with CJ Stroud. We're going to find out if he's just a very good quarterback who can win the division multiple times and never win in the divisional round. Or this year, we're going to see, can he actually be a quarterback that could win a Super Bowl? Can he become that 5th best quarterback in the league in that discussion? And I think it's all on his shoulders in Houston. And Jack, I know when we sat down to record, you said the Texans are overrated. Or the Texans stink. I can't remember what the word you said was.
I said the Texans stink. But I was kidding.
No, I know. But a lot of people are talking smoke about the Jaguars coming up. We've done it a few times on this show. Some people think the Colts will be a little bit better. The Texans are winning this division. The question for the Texans is, can they take the jump to Super Bowl contender, to me? And it's all on CJ Stroud. It is firmly on him because the rest of the team is ready to go. Yeah,
well, CJ Stroud last year, and we all touched on this when we were coming into last season. When you have a good rookie year, there is often times that big red X on your back the next year. Mm-hmm. There is that target. It's not automatic that, he has a great rookie year. He's just going to come back now next August and September and pick up and be a beast again. And it was noticeable. He dropped. Tank Dell was hurt. And he's hurt. He's probably still hurt.
Diggs got hurt.
Bad offensive line. The excuses, they were there. And that's tough for a kid in his second year with a target on his back. I just don't believe that. And he didn't even finish top 10 in either passing yards or...
He was very mediocre in most statistics.
And when you're in the AFC, you can get by mediocrity winning the AFC South. And that probably still holds true this season as well. Even with the Jags and Travis Hunter and all that. Mm-hmm. I'm probably still picking the Houston Texans win this division. But they're just in the same boat to me, Houston, as all these other teams in the AFC, where once you get to the playoffs, they're just kind of stuck there in that 4th or 5th best team.
Can you beat the Big Four?
Incapable of beating those guys. And the last 2 years we've seen that. I just don't know what's going to be different this year. Why would they be able to beat them? Baltimore.
Well, I'll tell you what's different this year. What's different this year is they took a bunch of great receivers in the draft for CJ Stroud. I'm really excited to see what those kids out of Iowa State, Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins, are going to be able to do. Higgins in particular, I think, already in minicamp, he's been CJ Stroud's most targeted receiver.
I've heard he's looked good.
I think some of that is that Nico Collins is already clearly established as the one and sort of doesn't need the reps. But for as much as people talked about how great the skill position players could be for Houston last year, between injuries to all 3 of their starters, And I think a worse performance from Stephon Diggs than most people, really everybody except Jack and I, thought what you would get.
Yes, that's true. You guys did agree on that.
Yeah, he's gone now.
It wasn't there, but they're infusing a lot of talent in that room. You're going to get some better coaching, hopefully, from the offense. I think a lot of the struggles were that the coaching just didn't respond to the offensive line last year being much worse than it was 2 years before. If they can get a mediocre offensive line, CJ Stroud has the best weapons of his career, and ascending Nico Collins, who I think will clearly be a top 5 wide receiver next year.
Maybe
some great rookies around him. Like, this is the best. If the offensive line can be average, this is the best team CJ Stroud has had around him, and he's entering that pivotal year 3. I really expect more from them this year.
What I'd ask you though is, when you look back on last year's team, yeah, Nico Collins is steady, right? Do you think are Christian Kirk and Jaden Higgins better in your eyes than Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs?
I think they're better than
I'd probably say
games of Stephon Diggs and 10 games of Tank Dell.
Sure, yeah. But I'm saying to say the best weapons of his career, I thought last year coming in, we were like, this is the year. Like, this is the time.
Well, now they've got Nick Chubb, too.
Well,
Don't forget Nick
we can't forget Chubb. Chubb just signed.
Chubb and Mixon, yeah.
You know, he's coming off, again, still like Chubb since that injury.
You got Mixon to take carries, too. Chubb just has to come in and play some good football. You've got Jalen Noel, John Mechie. I mean, he had a very terrible start to his career because of the sickness, but he's improving. And you also have to look, the defense just continues to get better, right? Will Anderson, Derrick Stingley, those are guys who really took big steps forward last year. And now you'll get that mature version of them for the whole year. CJ Gardner-Johnson, I think, will get a lot done for them.
Oh, no, they're really good.
I'm going to stick with it. I think this is the best team of CJ Stroud's career.
Okay, well, that's different than the best weapons. Like,
it could be the best team.
I would agree with you, given where the defense is, that this is the best team.
I think the weapons are close.
But no, they are close.
Clearly the best team.
They are close. And that's the whole point that I'm saying here, is that this team is ready to go. And it really often comes down to that quarterback position. And we all agree on this. That takes you from good or very good to elite. And right now, you know, the Texans have throttled the Chargers in the first round. They throttled the Browns in the first round in Houston. Then they go on the road and they've lost 34-10 in Baltimore and 23-14 in Kansas City. And like, those are two, when they played Baltimore, the best defense in football. Kansas City, very good defense on the road. Stroud was sacked 8 times. But the offense isn't showing up in those games. And a lot of those problems come up front on the offensive line. But CJ Stroud, you know, he's the guy. Like, he needs to take this team to that level where they can go. They might have to go on the road. In all likelihood, you will have to go on the road. And it would be great if they could get the 1 or the 2 seed. But to go through the AFC, like you said, Jack, if you said at this point in time, who are the contenders, the real Super Bowl contenders in the AFC? I say, without a doubt, it's all the teams that the Big Four play for. The Ravens, the Bengals. I know people are a little iffy on the Bengals, but they were, you know, Joe Burrow's playing the way he did last year. They're a contender.
They shouldn't be iffy.
The Chiefs and the Bills. And after that, to me, it's you're just seeing if the Chargers or the Texans take the jump. Sorry about you guys. I don't think you're in that.
Yeah, I don't know how we're being so slept on.
I'm sorry. But to me, you will see one of those 6 teams in the Super Bowl next year.
We're better than the Texans are.
Right now?
Yes.
Those are 2 very different teams, but the Texans are trending up and the Steelers are trending down.
Think the Texans
I know which one I'm going to pick.
I think the Texans have a
Aaron
better
Rodgers?
defense and a better offense. That's it.
We have a better quarterback.
Yeah, who's he going to throw to?
Probably not.
DK?
And
who's the
Calvin Austin.
That's all I needed.
Calvin Austin.
Yeah.
That's all I needed.
I love that.
Who's Stroud throwing to? Nico Collins. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I like Christian Kirk more than any of your number 2s.
We have the Muth, too.
I don't mind Muth. I like Dalton Schultz more than I like Farrington. The Texans are...
We're going to get Lazard.
Now, look, it can all fall apart with the bad offensive line. And again, Houston did make moves, but...
And they just got a new running back.
We're talking about moves where...
Those don't matter.
Like, they brought in Cam Robinson, and he was 3rd highest pressure rate allowed among left tackles with 500-plus blocking snaps.
And this is also
Laken Tomlinson, 6th highest pressure rate among left guards. That's like, they're bringing in guys to fix the leaks that are going to need to step up because they were also leaky themselves.
This is somebody, too, who, in CJ Stroud, who it's not like he is now in his 3rd year, like a Kenny Pickett type guy, waiting, like, okay, like, as this theory can improve. Like, he has played in the NFL level at an elite level. We've seen it. Like, he's shown that he can do it. Like, he's capable of being one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And if he can have a year like that rookie season with this current Texans team, that's what it would take to take that next step into the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, he was 23 touchdowns, 5 picks, and then he went to 20. He regressed to 20 and 12 last year.
I believe firmly there's a target on your back in that second year. Coming off a good rookie season, there's a big red X on your back second year. We saw that from we saw that.
Like Jane Daniels is going to have to live up to it this year.
He'll have that same thing.
And it's kind of funny too, because the Commanders put all these resources into that team this season with going after Debo. They took Tunsil. They traded for him with the Texans. Like, Washington is making a move right here, and we'll see. It's again, if Jane Daniels regresses, they lost by 30 in the NFC Championship game. Jane Daniels taking a step back is not. They're not going to be relevant. So I think the Texans are a team where it feels like this is the time to take the jump. Last year felt like it, but now it's like, all right, if you don't do it now, I'm going to go into next season and I'm going to say they're just a very good team. Like, this is the last year in my mind where Houston, and obviously it's not the last year. CJ Stroud's still pretty young, but at least for me going into the offseason, I still view them as a team that can take that leap. If Stroud disappoints, I'll probably continue to see them as just a very good team, not a real contender.
The AFC South too this year has an easy schedule.
I believe they
right.
Do.
Like,
the Texans have that first place schedule, so they get the Bills, they get the Chiefs, they get the Ravens. That's the one thing. If you're going to have drawback on the Texans winning the division, you could say, well, that AFC first place schedule, that guarantees you all these guys, these dudes that we're saying you can't beat, and I think they're 4-7 against teams over 500 out of their own division since D'Amico Ryans has taken over. And look, they were in a really dark place before Stroud and Ryans got there. So you take what they've had over the past 2 seasons. You would have signed up for that immediately if you were a Texans fan. But now is the time to let's compete with these guys. Let's play with the big dogs.
I mean, Stroud reminds me a bit of like the Jordan Love of the AFC.
100%. I think that's exactly what he is.
Yeah, they're in very similar situations this year, those two.
Yep. It's a surprise we pit with both fan bases.
Yeah, I guess it's a coincidence.
Yeah, it makes sense. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Houston next year. I'm glad CJ Stroud's seemingly healthy, and yeah, we'll just have to see what happens. But they're my pick. I'd be very surprised. I'm trying to think what teams like the Bills are going to win the AFC East. That's a lock. No offense, Zach. Sorry about that. The Texans are close to a lock to me. There's a world where it doesn't happen, but I'd be very surprised.
That's just not true. It's not the same.
It's not. No, it's not. And that's why I just said it's not the same. But they should win the division. The whole thing, though, again, it will come down to that schedule. Like, they're the best team for sure. But the Jaguars do have a lighter schedule.
For winning a division, you can't look to first versus second, third, fourth place schedule when they all play each other twice. All you really have to do to win your division, the NFL, is beat your divisional opponents.
I think they should go 5-1 in the division.
Then,
and if they do,
the division's a lock.
Yeah. Sure. Well, I mean, last year, what they win it by last year? They were 10-7. They went 5-1 in the division.
Yeah,
I mean, it was close.
And they won it by what?
But they went 5-1 in the division. There was no way they were losing.
I mean, there was a world where what was the final stand? They were 10-7. The Colts were 8-9.
Yeah,
the Jaguars were 4-13.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? They lost a bunch of games out of the division. Still, they were 10-7. The Colts were 8-9, and the Texans had the tiebreaker.
Yeah,
like that's not close.
Fair enough. All right,
that's a 3-game lead, right?
Yeah, and again, it's not like the Bills. The Bills are going to win the AFC East, but it's
not like the Chiefs.
Between those teams, this isn't a segment, but I'm going to bring it up here. Between the Chiefs, the Bills, the Texans, and the Ravens, how would you order those in terms of most vulnerable heading into next season?
Most vulnerable. So the team at the top is the one least likely to win their division.
Bills is the least.
Sorry,
vulnerable.
most vulnerable means they're most likely to get beaten out next year.
For the Ravens, probably.
Ravens versus the Bengals.
By the Steelers.
Or the Steelers. Would number 2?
Number 2 is the Texans with the Jags.
Oh, yeah, probably.
I think
the Chargers are coming, though.
I was going to say, I think we're putting the Chiefs really high.
Yeah, the Chargers and... Yeah. I'm not a big Bronco.
The Texans are the most vulnerable of those teams. I don't want to hear it.
Over the Ravens?
Of course, yeah.
I don't think so.
You're a Bengals
The Bengals are scared. The Bengals are winning that division.
That would mean the Ravens are the most vulnerable. No? What's going on in California? You lighten up?
The ranking hierarchy is not being clearly explained.
I thought, all right, let me clearly explain it.
The most vulnerable team at top or the least vulnerable team?
No. The most vulnerable team.
I'm trying to get the spatial dimensions.
Ziggy goes to California and he's on something.
Who's the most likely not to win their division out of those 4 teams?
I think the Chiefs.
Really?
Yeah.
If I'm being objective, it's probably
Baltimore.
If I'm being objective, it's the Texans because the Ravens should be significant favorites to win their division. I'm just really high on the Bengals, so I guess I have to take the Ravens.
Okay, and then you would put the Texans second.
Yeah, I don't think the Ravens or the Texans are winning their division.
Wow.
According to sports betting, it would go number 1 is the Bills, number 2, in terms of most vulnerable, it would be Texans and Chiefs tied for number 1, then Baltimore 3rd, and the Bills 4th.
What are the Browns odds?
Wait, are the Texans and Chiefs both plus odds or both minus odds?
I'm sorry. The Texans are plus 110. So it goes Texans, then Chiefs, then Ravens, then Bills. Interesting. So
I feel like we've just confused every receiver, every viewer we have.
I feel I'm tracking. Are you, Jack?
Yes.
Ziggy's much.
Let us know if you're a viewer, if you're tracking this.
Zach, you think the Chiefs are more vulnerable than any of the other division winners?
Yeah.
I mean, it's look, according to FanDuel, they'd say that you're not that far off.
No, I know. That's because me and FanDuel know each other.
Who would you take? Are you saying the Chargers are going to catch them this year?
Unnamed sportsbook.
Unnamed sportsbook. Are you saying the Chargers are going to catch them?
The Broncos, maybe.
The Chargers.
Someone's phone. Is that you?
Yeah. I will have to take this call.
I mean, the Chiefs were so close in so many of their divisional games last year, right? You think of all the ways they got bailed out against the Raiders and the Broncos and the Chargers. They could absolutely lose the division.
I keep forgetting the Chiefs kind of sucked last year, to be honest.
Well, the Chiefs they're very weird in that.
Like, they were honestly terrible.
Their season, they almost feel like their year doesn't start until the postseason comes. And eventually you have to think that I know that that's not their mindset, but that's what it feels like when you watch them play. And even the way you see them talk sometimes, it's like very lackadaisical, and then playoffs, they lock in. At some point, you have to think that will catch up.
They should have had 9 losses last year.
They should have lost a lot of games.
Yeah.
But
I honestly did. I forgot
the thing, though, is like they just get in, and and they've proven now it doesn't matter if they're at home, if they're on the road, like they win these games. And I actually saw a ranking. I think it was Chris Sims had his quarterback rankings, and I saw Nick Wright was reacting to him as a Chiefs fan, and he had Mahomes as the 4th best quarterback in football. Behind it was Burrow. It was Lamar 1, Allen 2, Burrow 3, Mahomes 4, and then Jaden Daniels 5. And Nick was just going off saying, like, with Kansas City, I know Patrick didn't have the numbers last year that these other guys did, but the last 3 years, he's beaten each one of them in the AFC Championship game, and he's better than them in the playoffs. So I think when you have a quarterback ranking, yeah, Mahomes has to be number 1 still because the other guys just can't beat him. But when you're talking about the team as a whole, like, yeah, the Chiefs haven't been playing great football in the regular season. And it makes you wonder, like, can the Chargers eventually catch them? Can the Broncos catch them? I'd still say no.
Jaden Daniels is literally last year's Stroud.
He is, exactly.
It is so funny. Yeah,
exactly.
They'll come in 3rd in the division this year, the Commanders.
Again, that was one of the reels that we had, was saying that the Commanders...
They wouldn't even come in 4th.
The Commanders are closer to the 10-7 team than they are the 13-4, 12-5
by a
team.
mile.
But if he takes a step forward, they are a 12-5, 13-4.
He won't
caliber team.
He'll be Stroud.
Sure. I mean, that's a prediction.
They'll take a step back and Jacksonville will win the division.
Now that we've bounced around a little bit there, why don't we try and get back on track? So we were talking about, the big 4 quarterbacks and Joe Burrow and the Bengals as Super Bowl contenders here. Obviously, they've missed the playoffs the last 2 years. And it's kind of weird that we're talking about a player as a top 4 quarterback and putting him in the same category as the past 2 MVPs and Lamar and Josh Allen and the Super Bowl, 3-time Super Bowls appearing Patrick Mahomes over the past 3 years, when Joe Burrow has only made the playoffs once in that span. But the Bengals, I think everyone should have them as one of the top contenders, but it feels like something is just always off with them. And they're not operating at the efficiency and they're making the decisions that the top tier organizations in this league make. And perhaps you have no greater example than what's going on right now on their defensive line with both Trey Hendrickson and now rookie Shemar Stewart. Ziggy, I know that you feel passionate about this, so I'm going to kick it over to you to lead this topic.
I mean, this, I think, gets into a broader thing that we've seen with the Bengals over and over again. We saw it last offseason with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. We're seeing it this year with Shemar Stewart and Trey Hendrickson. The Bengals the Bengals are the single worst team in the entire NFL at keeping their star players happy. Like, they just are. When it comes contract time, it's extremely difficult to get them to pay up. And they just don't negotiate with their players in good faith. And this creates so much resentment. Now you're seeing this with Trey Hendrickson. I get people are saying he signed the contract on bad advice from an agent, should play. Most franchises in the NFL would have either found a way to make him happy by now or sent him off. Shemar Stewart, it's some quibbling over a little bit of voided guarantees in the contract. It's something the Bengals have done before for other players consistently. Now they're trying to create a new rule for him that's saying he can't get guaranteed money in the same way other guys have, and like everyone else around the league does, Ziggy, to prove a point.
If you don't mind me just for 1 second, just to clarify that for anyone who's listening, Shemar Stewart was the Jack's guy. Shemar Stewart, if you remember, Texas A&M was their first round selection. The Bengals, what they're trying to do is they're changing the language in his contract, which would allow them to, as Ziggy said, void future guarantees, meaning the full amount of the first round draft pick contract is guaranteed unless you commit a default against the contract. Now a default would be like if you get suspended or if you show up, you don't show up for training camps, whatever, something like that would be considered a default. In most the Bengals current contracts, if you commit a default, for the year you commit the default, your guaranteed money is voided. You no longer get that. But what they're trying to change it to, and what a lot of teams in the NFL actually have it as, is that if you commit a default, the entire contract's guaranteed money is voided. So they're trying to say to Shemar Stewart, if you commit one default, all your guaranteed money is gone. And that's the first time that it would happen for a Bengals first round pick. And he's saying, well, why the hell should I be the guinea pig? Like, why am I the first one to get this when you've done it for the past 2 first round picks, both of whom were drafted later in the draft than I am? Now, again, most teams in the NFL do it the way the Bengals are trying to have it be done. But Shemar Stewart's saying, I'm not going to play for that. And it gets really interesting about who's going to budge. Sorry, go ahead.
The thing about it is, I understand wanting to make a point about contract negotiating, putting something like this in, even if it's unlikely to come up. But is now the time to be doing it? I mean, you've got Joe Burrow. You've got your wide receivers. We've been talking about on the show. The Super Bowl window is now. I do not understand why, when you had maybe the worst defense in the entire NFL, you used your first round pick on a defensive lineman, and you brought in a new defensive coordinator, and you're trying to build competency. You say, now's the time when we're trying to turn things around and win a Super Bowl next year. We're going to play games with the guarantee language in our first round picks contract. Who cares? You need to get your players on the field playing football so you can win. It doesn't seem like this is a serious organization.
It's not serious, Ziggy. And you're also talking about a team that had Joe Burrow in their losses last year, had 21 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. They were 8-9, right? He had 21 touchdowns and 3 interceptions in losses. That doesn't happen. Like Joe Burrow last year had a real MVP case. And the defense was so bad. Again, 9 teams in the league lost last year. 9 games were lost when a team scored 33 points or more. The Bengals lost 4 of those 9 games. And how does it look to the team? How does it look to fans when you're one defensive end who's number 1 in sacks, number 1 in pressure percentage, and number 3 in pass rush win rate over the past 2 years, who hasn't missed a snap, can't get a contract. And now your number 1 overall pick on defense can't get a contract either. You're basically like the most obvious need of almost any team in the league is Bengals needing defense, and they will not commit to fixing the defense.
They dropped a bag on the offense.
And they dropped the bag on the offense. It's just, if you're a player on that team, you're going, man, like, what's it going to take here?
Yeah, the Burrow reminds me of Paul Skeens of the NFL. It's these
That's a great comparison.
He's
sort of
MVP, like probably the best QB performance of the season last year. Doesn't make the playoffs. Team goes 8-9.
Team totally lets him down.
Team lets him down, and you have Skeens with a 1.5 ERA and did 2 wins. These LSU athletes, but
that's a really funny comparison.
Like that comparison, Ziggy?
I think it works. They're both on organizations that traditionally do a terrible job retaining talent because of stupid stuff.
If you look at previous years with teams who have had superstar quarterbacks, and now last season Burrow got hurt. That was the excuse. This season,
no. Last year was the defense. The year before was.
The year before,
sorry, my bad.
And then this past year was one of the worst defensive teams in the history of the NFL. And you still managed to win 8 games. Like, that's the other side of the ball. Is like Burrow played so well, he only won 8 games. This defense was like a high school JV defense, and you still won 8 games.
And they were peaking at the end of the year. If they had gotten in, they could have made a little noise.
You look at prior seasons with teams who are Super Bowl contenders. Ben Roethlisberger having AB, one superstar weapon. Defense is mediocre, but decent. AFC Championship appearance. Josh Allen had Stephon Diggs for years. A better defense. Not a great defense, but a contender year after year after year. I do think that the Bengals have done a better job than most people think for Joe Burrow, giving him his superstar in Ja'Marr Chase, and then giving T. Higgins the bag too. Like, they are totally set there. Joe Burrow's in the heart of his prime. Same with Ja'Marr Chase, and T. Higgins is a great number 2. Like, the Bengals will score points, and Joe Burrow will do what Joe Burrow does. And if this defense is just competent, and this takes me back to those Steelers teams with Antonio Brown and a semi-decent defense. If it's competent, this is a team who will be playing in AFC chip after AFC chip. Like, I don't think they've done as bad.
Well, but that's the thing. It's like, yeah, even if you think they haven't done as bad, it just looks so bad publicly. Well, when Shemar Stewart sitting in his locker saying, y'all just want to win arguments more than you want to win games. And you have Trey Hendrickson saying, trade me. That's the thing. Even if you think that they have, and they have given Burrow basically everything he could want. Like, they're trying. But then it just looks bad.
They tried with Burrow. They did not try with Ja'Marr Chase and T. Higgins. Those negotiations, they cost them games last year because those guys weren't playing.
Sure. But they've given those guys the deals, and it's just, again, it even though they get there eventually, it's just the process doesn't need to be like this. And look at the Vikings. I know the Vikings don't have any Super Bowls, but for the past few years, we're one of the better teams in football. Like Justin Jefferson's deal, we get it done ahead of time. That $35 million a year is going to look like a steal when these contracts start rolling in. You look at, the Chiefs gave Mahomes his deal. The ability to make these hard decisions and make them look easy. The Chiefs let go of Tyreek Hill and won Super Bowls because they said, we don't need to do this. And people might think it's crazy at the time, but if you when these good teams operate quickly and efficiently. And you see the Cowboys are doing this. Like they have not handled it well with Parsons. They've not handled it well with Dak. And it costs them a lot of money. And the Bengals are in the same spot where you have guys coming out saying, trade me, making noise all the time, and also getting paid way more than you would have paid them if you just did it up front initially.
Do you think that the Bengals should have let Higgins walk and spend more on the defense?
I don't think so, but it doesn't matter. What you need to do is have a plan. And the fact that they said on Jermaine Pratt until yesterday before releasing him tells me that this is not a team. Like Paul said, should the Chiefs have kept Tyreek Hill? Maybe, maybe not. Obviously, the results were good without him. What matters was they had a clear vision for the team and executed it. It's better to make the wrong decision than to make no decision.
I had been saying before that, well, maybe Ziggy. Usually those teams make the right decision. But what I was saying with Higgins during the offseason was basically like, if you had a plan to bring in other guys that you felt confident you could bring in to improve the defense, I think Burrow is good enough and Chase is good enough that the rest of that offense would click just fine.
Right.
But now that they paid Higgins, I mean, again, they should still make these moves here to even out the rest of the team.
But even if you just had, if it was just Burrow and Chase,
Yeah, they'd be great.
yeah, like with an improved defense, so that goes back to the Steelers, the Ben and AB.
So, want to go over for a second the story that was catching some attention earlier this week. Obviously, the Packers let Jaire Alexander go, and that was a big story. And people have been overreacting, underreacting. Like any kind of reaction you could have, there are Packers fans and Packers media personality who are having them. Then, almost immediately after letting Jaire go, we see at their minicamp that Bo Melton, their 5th or 6th string receiver, is playing at cornerback. And obviously that's going to spark quite a bit of conversation when you let Jaire Alexander go and immediately after you have a receiver playing cornerback. Now, to get this out of the way up front, Bo Melton was not the plan to replace Jaire Alexander. Right?
Bo Melton is not cornerback 1 All-Pro.
Yes. Bo Melton is not. Again, I tweeted out from our show account, Jefferson's going to have 1,000 yards on Bo Melton next year. Like Bo Melton, if Bo Melton is playing snaps for the Packers at cornerback next year consistently, either he's amazing at cornerback and we didn't realize
How do we not know
or it's really bad in Green Bay.
How do we know he's not great at cornerback?
He saw what's happening to Travis Hunter and said, Gutekunst, I want you to do that for me.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Receivers are cornerbacks who can catch. I think putting a receiver at cornerback, he'd be good.
Well, the Packers have had some success in the past moving. We've seen it before. Like you can move athletic wide receivers to cornerback and it sometimes
and they
works.
can catch unlike cornerback.
Okay. Here's what I would
slow down.
I know that Bo Melton came out and said that he's a wide receiver. He should be willing to try this because, frankly, looking at this roster, if Bo Melton can only play wide receiver, I think there is a real chance that he gets cut.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So if I'm Bo Melton and they're giving me an opportunity to play cornerback snaps, to do stuff on special teams, regardless of whether it'll ultimately work out, it makes sense for him to take every single opportunity he can to show value to the team. Because if he could be, even Julian Edelman was not a great cornerback, but he was a functional slot corner when guys got hurt in New England because he was athletic. Like that's all he really needed.
I totally forgot
knew
Edelman
the position.
Cornerback. A little.
I mean, again, it wasn't great, right? But he was able to function for a few weeks until they could get a guy in there. If they believe Bo Melton can do that, that's the sort of thing that can save your job versus a Mecole Hardman or a Malik Heath or a Cornelius Johnson, like at the very bottom of this depth chart.
And that's the important thing to take away here is that, again, if Bo Melton is playing at cornerback right now, it's to see if Bo Melton can, potentially fill in every now and then. This is not a long-term solution. Again, unless if he's great, which I don't want to rule out.
Maybe he is. Maybe he's the lockdown corner.
It's very hard.
RAS is off the chart for cornerbacks.
I know. Yes, I know. He's a great athlete, but it's very hard in general. Even in college, you have guys, moving. I think in college it's a little more natural to test around positions and see, maybe we could flip him to corner, maybe we flip this guy to receiver, running back, whatever. Our buddy, your old roommate Avery Davis, Ziggy, played about every position imaginable at Notre Dame before settling in at receiver.
Right. Richard Sherman played wide receiver for 2 or 3 years at Stanford.
But usually you get some college reps, like Cam Hart, who I helped produce his show and Inside the Garage. Cam went from wide receiver to cornerback at Notre Dame. Now he's a cornerback for the Chargers in the league. Usually you don't see in the NFL like, oh, we're going to try this. Like Tim Tebow's going to try tight end. Like usually it doesn't work switching positions in the league, especially when you've been there for a while. So that's why this is more of a, oh, you know what? If Bo can do it, we think he has the physique. They thought on special teams that he showed the aggressiveness that could be required for a cornerback. Like, yeah, then maybe we could see what we have. Because you're right, Ziggy, there's no worse place in the league to be a backup receiver than Green Bay. You have the 4 guys from last year. Now you have Savion Williams and you have Matthew Golden all ahead of you in the like that's a place where you get cut. And this is an opportunity for Bo to increase his value as a special teams and potentially once in a while defensive player. But there's not much, like to me, this is not much of a story. This is like, oh, the Packers are just kind of effing around.
Maybe Travis Hunter's a wannabe Bo Melton.
That could be it.
Maybe Bo was Travis before we knew who Travis was.
Can you imagine Bo Melton exploding onto the scene as a superstar dual?
I don't think it would shock me.
Oh, because it's the Packers.
There's no way you're telling me it wouldn't shock you if Bo Melton is a superstar
I don't think it would shock
two-way
me.
player.
He looks like
it would shock me.
He looks like a corner.
Look,
he has that athletic look.
I think it'd be I hope I'm rooting for Bo. This is a show I think where we actively root for people to succeed.
He's like Ryan.
Even if he's a Packer.
I'm rooting for Bo to get cut by the Packers and be a star outside the NFC.
Sure, yeah, that's the ideal situation. Yes. But anyway, I just thought that was a fun story because you saw Packers fans going like Bo, like a corner. Can you imagine the Vikings yeah, we're trying to think who, like Jalen Naylor. No, Naylor's almost too part of our offense. If you just have like one of your fourth or fifth receivers playing cornerback,
Brown,
it gets attention.
AB would have been such a good cornerback.
AB could have been a cornerback. Tyreek Hill would be a good slot cornerback.
Yeah.
So
I could
quick.
see it.
Tyreek might be too stocky though.
I don't think it would shock me. Melon has the look.
The look and the feel of a corner. Okay, last thing that Ziggy wanted to talk about, another one of these storylines right here. We're going to move on to the Los Angeles Rams. I think there's actually quite a few breakout conversations we could have here. So Zach, keep me honest if I get a little bit out of line here. Devontae Adams was asked about being in LA and if it was different from being with the Jets last year. He said, "I feel like this is what I needed just based off the vibe and the aura of the building." This is aura, Zach. Aura. That's a place where if you threw Zach in LA,
I don't know what aura is.
Yeah, Zach would have no idea. He doesn't belong. And I'm kidding. And everybody's in a good mood. It's not like a dark cloud over the building. And I've experienced that quite a bit over the last few years. So it's a glaring difference when you come into a building like this. By the way,
he's been watching our show.
If you listen to our show, what do we call these teams? Dark cloud franchises. So a dark cloud hanging over the Jets, confirmed by Devontae Adams himself.
So Rodgers will be a beast.
Then he said, they've got a really good quarterback in here, got a really good young team that shows a lot of promise and was obviously really close to being able to have a chance at the whole thing last year. Just knowing how hungry this team is, seeing the work that they're still putting in after having a year like last year, just kind of confirms that I'm in the right place. And, he joins this Rams team that we were talking about before the show started. I'm really high on the Rams. I know that Ziggy, you're a big 49er guy, and a lot of people are keyed in on the Lions and the Eagles and the NFC. But you give me one game and you say you have to win it, pick an NFC quarterback, I'm taking Matthew Stafford. And that's why they just get into the playoffs. And
that's ridiculous.
What? Who are you taking?
Hurts.
Oh, come on. You're taking Stafford wins the Super Bowl on the Eagles.
I'm taking the champ.
Stafford is a champ. But Stafford, I'm taking him over any of the NFC quarterbacks in a must-win one-game situation. You looked at the Eagles last year, rolled the Packers. I know Packers fans would disagree. That game was never really close. They rolled the Commanders. They rolled the Chiefs. The Rams had them. I know it was a late comeback, but the Rams had the ball on the 20-yard line, 1st and 10. And I thought they were going to walk off that game. Who knows what happens if it's not snowing? And I think
that was like the blizzard.
I think that's a disadvantage to the Rams though, because they can throw the ball better than Philly can.
Didn't Stafford lose to Goff in the playoffs and lose? He hasn't.
Yeah, but
he hasn't won.
Well, he won the Super Bowl.
They
beat the Bengals.
You give a game.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, that was years ago. Like you're saying,
Matthew Stafford is getting more respect than I've ever seen be given a quarterback for 20 touchdowns and 8 interceptions last year.
Because in these playoff games, he's awesome.
No, he loses. He loses to Goff.
He won the Super Bowl.
Okay, Jalen Hurts won it months ago.
Yeah, I know, but
Stafford did have great games in the playoffs in 23 and 24. I don't want to hear you deny that.
Stafford went on the road in Detroit.
Whether Matthew Stafford is better than Jalen Hurts or the best quarterback in the NFL. It's whether he's good enough to be successful on the Rams.
Hurts is better than Stafford.
Well, we could have that.
I'm taking
that
Hurts.
Doesn't matter.
Everybody's taking Hurts over Stafford.
I did. Who would you take, Ziggy? One game you have to win. You taking Hurts or Stafford? It has to be Stafford.
No.
They're very different kinds of quarterbacks. I don't think this is a good question to ask.
Well, who are you taking? We're building a team. Who would you rather have?
If we're building a team around them, I'm taking Jalen Hurts for sure.
Yeah, the guy who just won the Super Bowl months ago.
It's not because he won the Super Bowl. That's not a useful
Well, yeah, he's
way
also
to
just
think
better
about
and he's
this.
younger.
The Eagles team, look, we could turn this into a Stafford Hurts. I just think that the
See, I
Eagles
don't know why
Stafford
the
is so good.
producers act to keep us honest. I'm trying to
That's
take
a
his role here.
ridiculous-
This is not a Hurts
ridiculous
versus
point.
Stafford segment. I don't know why we're doing it.
I think that the Eagles had one of the most loaded, very loaded roster.
Your throat's too red for Stafford. I mean, he's good, but that's just ridiculous.
He went on the road.
Can we not talk like that?
He went on the road and it put forth
I
the
kept
best
it
challenge
PG.
last year.
I kept it PG.
Or debatable. That's PG.
It's not debatable. We don't talk like that on this show.
But anyway, looking at this situation here, the Rams are the seventh in odds to win the Super Bowl right now. And I think that that's a well-deserved spot for them. I actually thought they were going to be lower. I was thinking they were underrated. But if you asked me, name the most dangerous teams in the NFC, I think it's Eagles, Lions, and the Rams. And I think that they're all on the same tier there. Which it sounds like you guys vehemently disagree with.
The Rams are not in my top 10 Super Bowl contenders.
Who's ahead? Do you
I
have
wouldn't
your
put
top
him
10?
with the Eagles.
Yeah, so let's go through the teams everyone should agree on. Bills, Ravens, Chiefs, Eagles, Lions.
Yes. Everyone agrees on those five.
I've got the Bengals higher.
Sure, I think
Joe Burrow is just better than Matthew Stafford. If you ask for a quarterback for a game, I'm taking Joe Burrow.
Yeah, you're taking Joe Burrow. But I don't think it's close. Okay, yeah, I would disagree.
I'm taking the Packers.
I would disagree.
I'm taking the Texans.
And I would disagree. That's where it comes down to. I think oftentimes in these situations where you're in the playoffs and you say, who are you going to take in this game? You look at the quarterback. And that's where, I think I would take Stafford
I'm
over.
also skeptical of Matthew Stafford's ability to stay healthy for the full season.
That's a fair claim.
He's nearing 37 years old is a quarterback cliff in terms of productivity and health. And I think even though he looked alive for the playoffs, you saw that a lot in the regular season last year.
That's fair.
I'm not convinced that Matthew Stafford's going to have it for the whole year.
I think the Puka and the Rams are good. Stafford, Puka, Devontae Adams,
Kyron Williams.
Yeah, I'm not saying the Rams are a crappy team, and I'm probably picking to win the NFC West over San Francisco. I just think that they're kind of like the Texans of the AFC, where they'll win a division and not get past the second round. I mean, last year
for this team, a lot really does. I know Devontae Adams is a big name, but I really think a lot actually does depend on it. Because you saw last year,
they're not close.
Setting aside the playoffs, which were incredible, the Cooper Kupp not being the receiver that he had been historically for the Rams last year, missing a bunch of games due to injury. I guess actually that's not true. He usually missed a bunch of games due to injury and put up like 700 yards. Him not being the guy he was in 2021 and all the attention going to Puka Nacua was a huge problem. If Devontae Adams is just healthy and reliable, that will make a huge difference for this offense.
Well, yeah, I mean, I could see the Rams being the fourth best team in the conference. I don't think they hold a torch to Philly.
But why? How can you say they don't hold a torch to Philly?
Because last year, everyone brings up that snow game. When it didn't snow, Philly beat them by 40. Like, Philly is just a much better team than the Rams are.
I agree that the Rams are better. I mean, that the Eagles are better than the Rams.
No one's putting the Rams above the Eagles.
I don't even think they're in the same tier as the Eagles.
Yeah, I did say that I put them in the same tier. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe they're in the second tier right behind Philly and Detroit.
They're like the Houston of the NFC.
But no, the Packers are closer to the Houston than the NFC. Because the Rams could actually go and win. Like, right now, who's more likely to win? The Rams over the Eagles or the Texans
AFC's
over?
tougher, yes.
Yeah.
But I don't think
would it surprise you more if the Texans went on a Super Bowl run or if the Rams went on a Super Bowl run? Like, that's I think like the Texans are closer to me. Like, I kind of view them like the Commanders a bit. If the Commanders make it, I'd be like, oh wow, that's like wow. Like, yeah, I can see it, but that's a great season. Like Jaden must have been unbelievable.
I mean, I just don't think the Rams are close to Detroit or Philadelphia.
I have no problem with you saying that. Because I think that those two teams are
like
loaded from top to bottom. They could very well
even lose their own division.
They can. They can. I just think that Ziggy, like you guys do bring up good points in that. Ziggy, I agree with you that if Stafford, yes, obviously if he can't stay healthy, they are not going to be relevant. But when he's healthy, I think they're very dangerous. Like maybe I'm just speaking because I saw them beat the shit out of my team in the playoffs. Like that could be it.
I think there's a lot of recency bias on that game.
There could be. When the
14-win Vikings came into the playoffs and got their ass kicked by the Rams, then the Rams hung with the Eagles. people were high on the Rams than they should.
Colin actually came out recently and he said that he thinks Stafford has more to gain legacy-wise than anyone in the league right now. And the conversation was based around if over the next handful of seasons the Rams are able to get one more, where does he fall compared to Aaron Rodgers all time? And to me, again, I think the Stafford, great career. If he has 2 Super Bowls, that's awesome. Still doesn't touch Rodgers as an all-time.
That's not getting into 4 MVPs, but 2 Super Bowls turns him from borderline Hall of Famer, we'll have to wait a while, I think, to making the Hall of Fame for sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you were to get a second ring, 100%. Yes.
It would transform his legacy, I think, from a guy who... Because as it is, Stafford, I think, and this is not a knock on him, he joined the Rams at the right time, right? That was that old regime where Aaron Donald was there. Like, that was that team's time. If they were to win the Super Bowl now, it would really be a win, not because Matthew Stafford joined a great team, but because he built a great team around himself.
Yeah. And he's been able to elevate that team. That's
alternatively, right? Like, who lost it after they turned 37? Peyton Manning lost it after he turned 37. Eli Manning lost it. Matt Ryan lost it.
Eli Manning's such a
once you turn 37, it gets tough.
Eli never really had it.
That's the funny thing about Eli. I'm looking right here, top all-time passing yards leaders. Like, Stafford's 10 all-time.
Where's Roethlisberger?
4, 5. So like,
okay, but Eli Manning went from in 2016, he was at least a solid quarterback. In 2017 and 2018, it fell apart.
But that's the thing.
Eli's is after it got rough.
If you take away 2 miracles, though, I don't even think
he's not Hall of Famer.
Like, he doesn't even scratch the top 70.
Sure, but also, he was a large part of them making the Super Bowl. To be fair,
no, he was on all time. He was on all-time runs. But you go over to Eli Manning seasons, and I think Eli Manning. Obviously, family is the history of the game that the Manning families had, and being in New York certainly helps as well. But Eli had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10-win seasons or more in his
That's
16,
honestly more than I thought.
16. It is more. 16. His 16-year career, he had 11 wins twice, 10 wins twice, and 12 wins once. Am I seeing this right? 11, 10, yeah. And like Eli Manning played forever, the Iron Man. Like, that's, again, like we talked about Jim Marshall, who recently passed away. Like, being an Iron Man, being part of the family, being in New York, the Super Bowls he had are what pushed him over the top. Like, I think you deserve a spot in the Hall of Fame when you have certain accolades and you have a certain impact on the history of football. But if you just look at Eli Manning as a player, like, I know he's 11th all time in passing yards because he played forever.
He'll get in.
But Eli Manning, if you're picking one, go ahead.
This sort of discussion is why I think it can make sense to say things like Matthew Stafford has so much legacy on the line, because getting that second ring, or alternatively just putting together great seasons after you turn older, like the difference between. Obviously Drew Brees won a ring, but the difference between Drew Brees and Matt Ryan, I think in a large part because of how they're remembered, is Drew Brees didn't fall off a cliff once he got older. He kept playing well. Aaron Rodgers, he might only ever get one ring, but he, assuming he has a good year of the Steelers, kept playing well, or even the Packers kept playing well when he got older. Tom Brady, I'm not going to include because he's something else. But 1 or 2 more good seasons for Stafford, or a season with a Super Bowl ring, would take him from being in that Matt Ryan tier with a ring. Because really, if you look at his career right now, it's not very different than Matt Ryan with a ring, to a different level.
Yeah. Right now Stafford has about 60,000 passing yards. Big Ben retired with 64. Like, Stafford has a legit shot after this year to be the 5th all-time passer in football history. He has 377 touchdowns. Phillip Rivers is 6 with 421. So he's 34 behind Phillip Rivers, 44 behind Phillip Rivers. So that would probably take 2 years. And Rodgers is at 503. He's not going to catch him. So there's a real shot here. If he plays 2 more years, Matthew Stafford will almost certainly be number 5 all-time in passing yards and number 6 all-time in passing touchdowns. And if you add a ring on top of that, now we're talking about a legend.
Yeah, 100%. Stafford's an amazing quarterback.
Yeah, he is. But if he wins one more ring and has those top 5, top 6, Now you start talking, and it's weird because
It's one of the best
at
QBs
no
ever.
point in his career, really, how many times did Matthew Stafford come into a season and you're like, bona fide top 5 player in the league, top 5 quarterback? Maybe the year after they won the Super
I think
Bowl.
a lot of that was shadowed by the Lions.
Oh no, I know, but like still, like even in those years, you had Brady, you had Peyton a lot, you had Breeze, you had Rodgers. Like maybe he was that 5th guy at times, but generally speaking, and then like you had the Matt Ryan big year, Russell Wilson had some big years, Cam Newton had an MVP season. Like that's the difference with Stafford there that makes him a kind of outlier amongst these rankings. Like again, if you look at the leaders in passing yards, Brady, Breeze, Manning, Favre, Rodgers. All of these guys, multiple time MVPs. And then it's like, all right, now he's elevated out of the Phillip Rivers tier to me. So it's an interesting spot because, would you put him closer to the Rivers and the Ryans or would you put him closer to the Mannings and the Bradys? Like it
depends on what comes next because the Mannings, the Bradys, they were able to play great football.
I'm not sure.
Not Eli. Eli's whatever. Eli's a different case. Peyton Manning, I know he fell off a cliff, but there was the Super Bowl the year before that. Like they were able to play great football into the end of their career. That's the difference. That's how people remember you.
I don't think he can ever get to unless he wins multiple Super Bowls. I don't think he can get to that all-time great quarterback.
No, but he can be a lot closer to those guys. He can be a tier above the Rivers.
Yes, Ryan, he can almost create his own little layer.
There's also no like Brady/Manning tier. Like Manning's not even in Brady's tier.
Sure. If you want,
he's above Brady's tier. He's the greatest quarterback.
But sure, if you choose to put Brady there, then yes, I'm talking with Breeze and with Manning, and you put Montana.
I think if Matthew Stafford were to beat out Jalen Hurts and the Lions and win another Super Bowl with the Rams, he's up there with Peyton Manning.
He could jump. I think he could legitimately jump Breeze if he did that.
Yeah, more so than.
I say you got to admit that's not as crazy as it sounds, right?
It's not when you look at. No, I think it is. Like Breeze, I think it is.
Like
Breeze was always again. I think that there is something to. He has great numbers, and he would have two Super Bowls.
Yeah, like all the accomplishments of Stafford are.
I mean, Drew Brees has 1 first-team All-Pro votes.
Yeah, but that's because of the guys who's it's sort of same thing with Stafford. But Stafford was like when you talk about Breeze and who he had to go against, you're like he had to go against Manning and Brady. And when you talk about Stafford, you say he had to go against Manning and Brady and Breeze. Like there was a clear gap when they were playing of who you would rather have. Even though Stafford might end. Again, assuming he wins the second.
No,
Super
I get it.
But yeah, it is an interesting question.
Robbed a Super Bowl MVP by Cooper Kupp.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah. But anyway, interesting conversation. All right, let's wrap up the show here. Ziggy has a list. We haven't done a list in a while, so we figured this would be a fun little game to close out an off-season episode. And I actually really enjoyed this episode. I thought this was a lot of fun. So Ziggy, you said you had a list of top 10 for us to guess. We get 3 strikes. What is your list?
Yeah, so it's. Look, what's the best frozen dessert, Paul?
Ice cream. Ice cream is the best dessert.
Absolutely agree. So what I've got here is a list. Really? This list was compiled by Instacart. So like they're the company that people can buy stuff from. The top 10 in North America, so the United States and Canada, most purchased ice cream flavors. Top 10.
Vanilla
and chocolate.
Vanilla 1, chocolate 2.
Okay.
Cookies and cream.
Cookies and cream 3.
Mint chocolate chip.
Yep, I'm with you right now.
Mint chip 5.
Wait, before you go crazy here. I'm pretty sure.
Moose tracks, whatever it is.
No, so I get out of here. Stop. What was 5, Ziggy? Which one did you just get? We got mint
5 is mint chip. So you've got 4. You didn't guess 4. So
I'm pretty sure that butter pecan is in there.
It probably is. People like that.
Butter pecan.
Yeah. So I don't actually know what butter pecan is. It's coming in at the 8.
Is it pecan or pecan?
I said butter.
Oh, butter pecan is good. It was my grandfather's favorite ice cream.
Well, people do like butter pecan.
But I know I've even had it before, but like, what is butter pecan ice cream?
I have no idea.
I would guess it's
everyone talks about it, but like you don't actually know what it is.
I think,
right?
Again, this is a complete guess. Well, no, I mean, sort of. I think it's like a caramelish.
There's like nuts in it, right?
I think it's a caramelish pecan ice cream.
So it's like a pecan custard type.
Well, it's an ice cream. What it's like? I think it's like.
It's like a custardy flavor.
Sure. Yeah, I think it's got that like caramel taste.
Yeah.
When you got like,
Okay, so that's the 8.
I get like Snickers and Reese's.
I'm telling you, Moose Track's got to be on.
So we
birthday
got
cake.
vanilla
Birthday cake.
one,
What about cotton
chocolate
candy?
2,
I think
cookies and
birthday. I
cream
think
3,
birthday cake is in
mint
there.
chip 5, butter pecan 8.
Butter pecan. All right, wait.
Cotton candy?
It says a buttery flavor for butter pecan.
Cotton candy.
I don't.
Yes.
No. Cotton candy.
Oh, what
can't
about
be in there.
like strawberry or something? Like what's the?
Oh, strawberry.
Is
Strawberry.
producer Zach participating or not?
Yeah. Yeah, strawberry.
Are you guessing strawberry?
Yeah.
Comes in at the 4.
Nice.
Okay, so
Good
that was
work.
the 4.
That might be for me actually the biggest surprise of the list is strawberry at the 4.
Like, I wonder if they count like like Napoleon. Is it Napoleon?
Neapolitan.
Where like all 3 are in at once.
I used to call it Napoleon.
What about like Rocky
I
Road?
can say it's listed in the rules here. Every individual flavor counts. So like try flavors or whatever, those are distinct.
Oh, okay. I think birthday cake is in there.
Birthday cake?
I vaguely remember being surprised at birthday cake being.
I thought it was just like Dairy Queen.
I thought that I saw something one time. It was like birthday cake was like more popular than you thought. I thought so as well.
All right, birthday cake.
Are you kidding me? Birthday cake? No, birthday
that's a
cake is
horrendous-
not in the top 10.
That's a
What's
horrendous
wrong with
guess.
you?
Oh,
Maybe it was most. Wait. Is this most liked or most sold?
Most sold.
Oh, then I
Most
take it
purchased.
back. I take it back. I
You can't
take back
I
my.
laid out the rules very
I mean,
clearly.
I'm
What are the
taking it
most
back.
Sold?
I'm taking it
No,
back.
You lost a light.
cookie
It's
dough
a-
has
no.
to be on.
Oh,
Yeah, cookie
cookie
dough.
dough.
Cookie dough.
Good stuff, Zach.
Yeah, cookie dough's at the 6.
Nice.
So we need
I used to be
7,
fat. So
7, 9,
this is,
10,
like,
right?
Right up my alley.
Yeah.
So we got vanilla,
It's been
chocolate,
a good
cookies and
start.
cream,
You're only down 1 life.
strawberry mint chip. Well,
yeah.
now there's a
Pause.
technicality.
Pause.
Cookie dough and butter pecan. We need 7, 9, and 10.
I feel like 9 and 10 are going to be tough.
Well, this is all going to be tough.
I really think Moose Tracks is on there. I don't know why.
What about like Rocky Road?
Yeah,
You said
Rocky
that?
Road.
Yeah,
That's what
Rocky
I'm thinking.
Road,
Rocky
yeah.
Road is what I was thinking. Not Moose Tracks. Rocky Road.
Most bought. Wait, let's just think. Oh, coffee ice cream.
Coffee ice cream.
Yes.
Coffee's at the 7.
I love coffee
Nice.
ice cream.
I'm trying to think of what are just some like regular black raspberries, a great flavor, but I don't
love
think
black
I don't think
raspberry,
that's
too.
going to be. I don't think that's going to be in there.
Chocolate chip ice cream.
I think we got mint chocolate.
Yeah, mint
Assuming
chocolate
mint chocolate chip is in that category.
It's not chocolate chip. I'll give you that.
See, I
I
only
think like chocolate chip, cookie dough, mint chip, they sort of blend together.
Are there any other?
No,
I
really
only
has
eat like
chocolate chip.
5 of my
Ziggy, there's
favorite
no
ice
like
cream
sherbet
flavors.
or anything in here, right?
No, these are all bona fide ice cream flavors.
So, like what is it? There's like cherry, and I'm trying to think of more like fruits and what are some more like just standalone coffee type.
Cherry's a good one.
Yeah, I don't think that's cherry. It's like usually like cherry Garcia, right? But that's not. I'm leaning.
None of these are like None of these are like Ben and Jerry's or like weird.
There's like
Yeah.
fudge brownie.
No, like fish food.
There's like like fudge brownie or something like that.
Yeah, that is
Rocky
good.
Road's not bad.
I think Rocky Road has. to be
Rocky
on there.
Road, I can see 9
It's
out
gotta
of 10.
be,
Yeah.
it's got to be like the 9.
Yeah, that could be in there. Is there any other sort of vanilla?
Are you
only-
guessing Rocky Road?
I only stick to like my 5 favorite ice cream flavors. I don't
I think
venture.
we go Rocky Road.
All right, let's try
All right,
Rocky Road.
Rocky Road.
Rocky Road is a great guess, but it does not come in.
Where
Where is it?
is it on the list?
It's not in the top 10. This is only a top 10 of us.
All right, so we have
My guess is it's just outside the top 10.
Dang.
got it. So we have 2 lives left.
I can say Rocky Road is the most popular in California, Nevada, and Montana. So it's got to be pretty high.
All right, so
Wow.
it's not bad. All right, let's think this through here, gentlemen.
Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
I feel like chocolate. Is there like a? Is there a difference
None of these are like
between? Like,
branded.
is there a difference between like chocolate swirl and chocolate fudge? Like,
Is like French vanilla? Is that still vanilla?
No, there's no goofy technicalities here.
No, like chocolate vanilla mix. That's what I get from Breyers.
Neapolitan could be there. I mean, Ziggy said that was one of them.
No. I thought you said it wasn't one of them.
Ziggy, you
I said that. So like, I'm not making a comment on the list. I can say that they're like tri-flavored. Neapolitan and the rest are like favorites in states. So those are eligible choices.
so Neapolitan is eligible. Is what we've confirmed.
It is eligible. It's an eligible receiver. It reported in at the line
No,
scrimmage.
that's got to be one.
Neapolitan's
Yeah.
is
Neapolitan's the 9.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
gonna say it had to be.
all right. So
You got one life, one more pick.
this is it right here.
I'll give you a hint on this. Do you want a hint on this?
No, not yet. I think we're kind of killing this right now.
I'm out of, I don't know.
We only need one more. We only
Yeah.
need 8 or 7.
We're at.
Let me know if you
we're
want a
10.
hint. I've
We
got
need-
a good
we need
hint.
10.
Could 10 be like cherry?
Oh, we need the 10.
Yeah.
Well, we got to think. What's like across all the flavors here? Is it? Oh, wait.
Cherries.
There's no way.
Would it be useful to know what state it's the most popular flavor of?
I have
like lemon one.
I was thinking too, like some fruit, like lemon or cherry.
You know what I'll tell you? It's the most popular ice cream flavor in the great state of Wisconsin.
In Wisconsin. Is there actually any like legs to this? Like, could we possibly backdoor into this?
Is there a beer ice cream?
It's also the most popular in Iowa and Michigan, so it's a Midwestern flavor.
Oh, they like dairy.
Corn.
Yeah. Is there a world where pistachio could be in there?
Ooh.
No way, right?
No.
Pistachio's a good one. People like pistachio.
Pistachio. I'm trying to think like butter pecan. There's another one. I think I'm thinking pistachio with alongside butter pecan.
Yeah, you're thinking pistachio.
Or is there like an almond? Is there an almond?
No.
Based?
I'm out. I don't know.
It's been mentioned.
It has been mentioned.
At some point during the segment, it has been mentioned.
Is it cotton candy?
What did we mention? Wait. We said pistachio. We said fudge brownie.
You were fast to bash cotton candy, then you throw a birthday cake.
Well, I thought it was most liked. I guarantee you in the most liked birthday cake is in there.
Wisconsin doesn't seem like a cotton candy state.
It can't be cotton candy.
No,
you don't see cotton candy like in cartridges. Can you buy
Same
cotton
with
candy?
birthday cake.
Fair enough. Again, I thought it was most liked. Cotton candy, I might have a little more.
Why can't
room
it be moose tracks?
Okay. So what I have us down for is fudge brownie, pistachio, cotton candy, and moose tracks. Do we remember any other named? We said Cherry Garcia.
Ziggy put his hand up when you said fudge.
A fudge brownie.
I think it's got to be fudge brownie.
Fudge brownie.
But that's like Rocky Road. It's got to be fudge brownie. What do you guys vote?
Fudge brownie.
What do you guys? We got those four. We got fudge brownie, pistachio, cotton candy, moose tracks.
You guys got to make a guess. The segment can't go on.
Fudge brownie.
I'll go fudge brownie.
Fudge brownie.
The 10th most popular flavor. Most popular in Iowa, Wisconsin, and Michigan. The one that you completely ignored producer Zach pulling for the entire segment.
That's what I figured.
Is Moose Tracks. That's number 10.
Well, that's ridiculous.
It's like trivia last night all over again.
Nobody ever listens to producer Zach, but he's just right.
Zach's been wrong. Zach's been wrong. Zach's like the boy who cried wolf. He's been wrong so many times you can't trust him anymore.
I mean, I feel like if this was like the one thing I could get right, it would be ice cream.
If you ice cream flavor.
I used to be like 260 pounds.
No, I'm the fat one.
Yeah.
We're losing room behind the bar here.
We are.
I figured you guys would get 8 of them on your own. Neapolitan was a great pull. Moose Tracks, I thought, was the hardest to get on the list for sure.
Well, Zach was all over that.
Yeah, Zach got that right away.
I mean, Zach did approve fudge brownie at the end. We can't let that go. We had the decision right there.
I wasn't going to win with Moose Tracks. You two would have been denying that the entire time.
I will say I almost never like that. That truthfully was not on my radar.
Moose Tracks exists, but I loved it when I was a kid.
I thought Moose Tracks. In fact, I'd go so far to say I truly don't believe that Moose Tracks outsells Rocky Road. There's no world where that's
Moose Tracks. You know what Moose Tracks has? It has peanut butter cups and fudge and brownie.
Doesn't beat Rocky Road.
All the things you were talking about.
Moose Tracks is super common. People do like that though.
Rocky Road is. I mean,
Moose Tracks might be my favorite flavor of ice cream.
All right, now I think you're just.
Well, you're also a lunatic, yeah.
Yeah, now I think you're just playing.
Pistachio is my favorite, but Moose Tracks, I think.
Is pistachio your favorite? That's funny.
All right.
Well done, Zach. Producer Zach, apologies.
Yeah, sorry,
you did a good job. Let me just look at this. Top 10 liked ice cream flavors. I wonder if it's on. Okay.
Birthday cake's not on the list.
Hold on. I'm gonna find it. I see a graph here. You have vanilla chocolate.
Okay, I found the poll from YouGov. It basically mirrors this list, except Rocky Road's up there. There's no birthday cake does not break the top 10. Birthday cake is 15th.
That's not bad.
That's actually not bad.
They did, yeah. 13th is right there. Yeah, come on.
No, 15th.
Well, it depends what you look at. I've seen it higher. Okay, we'll wrap up the show there. Appreciate everyone listening to a little mini camp episode. Kind of got into some legacy conversations, and
it was all over.
This show was very off-season.
Everything.
Yeah, very off-season show. So appreciate everyone for listening, and hope you stuck around for the ice cream flavor.
Name your favorite
Join the
ice
Fancy
cream.
Tour de France League. You can win a free show t-shirt.
Do that and name your favorite ice cream in the comment section if you made it this far.
All right. We'll see you next time.